This is a pretty interesting bottle, actually. This is from a producer called Fox and Fox. I forget where they are. Are they somewhere in southern England? I'll put it in a caption down below. And this is I believe, 100% Meunier. Now then, those of you familiar with traditional method sparkling wine, champagne in the night, will know that typically it's a blend of Chardonnay, Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier, with the third one there usually just being in tiny quantities, if at all. So a typical blend might be, I don't know, say varies from bottle to bottle. It could be something like 70% Chardonnay, perhaps 25% Pinot Noir, and usually just a tiny fraction of something like 5% of Pinot Meunier. As the name suggests, I think this is debated, but I believe it is a relative of Pinot Noir. The ancestry of it has some common grapes with Pinot Noir, and I think the name comes from the fact that it has this sort of almost flowery dusting, and I believe Meunier is the French word for miller. So one of the great things about English sparkling wine is their ability to just be a lot more, or willingness or ability, because of the lack of regulation, to just be a lot more experimental. So perhaps this exists in champagne, I don't know, but I don't think I've ever seen a champagne that's made with 100% Pinot Meunier. You sometimes get Blanc de Blanc, 100% Chardonnay, or Blanc de Noir, which would be 100% Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier, could be just Pinot Noir. I don't think I've ever seen a champagne that's 100% Pinot Meunier. That's really interesting. It's got this sort of, as you'd hope from something that's more on the Pinot side rather than the Chardonnay side, it's got this kind of stone fruit character. It's slightly plummy, it's slightly sort of hedgerow fruits, and then there's something a bit like orange zest in there. It's got a good acidity, but it's not searingly acidic as some ESWs are, and a really nice texture. The bubbles feel fantastic on the tongue. It's a 2014, aged on the lees, it says, for about 3 years, 34 months. Quite a lot of depth and complexity to that, and that is pretty nice. Why this hasn't been done well before, I don't know. What is it about Pinot Meunier that other winemakers don't want to showcase? I guess the question is really, what is it that Pinot Meunier does that Pinot Noir wouldn't? Difficult to describe this, to sort of put my finger on it without kind of delving into word soup. I get a slightly sort of tiny bit kind of more countryside-y, rustic-y sort of thing going on here. Pinot Noir is of course quite a classy grape, quite sophisticated. It's the grape that Burgundy's made from, red Burgundy. I wouldn't go quite as far as saying this is cidery, but it's certainly a tiny bit closer on the spectrum between sparkling wine and cider. A tiny bit closer over that way. There's sort of in amongst those stone fruit, the plums, there's a bit of apple in there too, orchard fruit, no pear, thank God. Can't stand pear in sparkling wine. Yeah, it's kind of enigmatic, really. It's not such an obvious difference, if I'm going to be brutally honest, between this and something that was 100% Pinot Noir. But whatever the nuances are, it is good.